Happy Monday to you. I'm Eureka John, and you're at Eureka Street Crypto, broadcasting live from Leander, Texas. It's 5:44 in the morning on November 22nd, 2021, and I'm broadcasting live on float.app. That's flote.app. And yeah, I'll be putting this up on YouTube later, Odyssey. I usually put it up on BitChute a little bit later because I got a backlog on that one. But yeah, this is my video blog, aka Morning Brain Dump. And this is just me kind of dumping everything that I've learned about crypto the previous day through podcasts, articles, books, whatever, even friends and neighbors. So yeah. And I'm not sponsored by anybody, and I'm not shilling anything, and I'm not your teacher, and I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just here for entertainment and morbid curiosity purposes only. That's it. I'm on episode, I'm on episode number 333, so let me go ahead and update this, episode 333, and November 22nd. All right, there. So, and it is Monday. So let me change this out. Look at that. I'm slacking here. So let me go ahead and change that little icon out. All these paintings I for each day I did with my daughters, and yeah, it's one thing we like to do together. I had all these grandiose plans to have some amazing show today, but I ended up spending a lot of time with my older daughter doing a puzzle last night. So, you know what? As important as I think crypto is and all that, when it comes down to just spending some time with family, that is always more important. So don't forget that. Regardless, because right now, Jade Protocol is offering some amazing APY to kind of compensate for a recent exploit that it had in its smart contract or something like that. So they're like a million APY or something like that. Here, I'll show you real quick. And I wanted so bad to get on that 7 million APY, and I'm going to try to jump in on it later, but I just, and it's on the Binance chain, so I have to kind of coordinate how to get around to do all that. I don't really have anything on the Binance chain. So, yeah, but last night I was doing a puzzle with my daughter, and that was more important. That took priority right there. So don't forget those things when you're doing crypto. It's easy to get caught up and to put the here and now and the in real life on the back burner. And you know what? Money can always be made, right? It's the time, and not the cryptocurrency time with the ticker symbol, but the actual time you spend with people and that you invest that will really create value in the long run. Right? All right. So let's move on here. Let's go to CoinGecko, and let me just refresh this old page, the old CoinGecko, and see what we have here. Bitcoin 57,440, 438.39. Ethereum $4,199. So, are we seeing the floor of Bitcoin? At the beginning of November, I saw all the speculation and price prediction and all this stuff that people love to do and follow these stock to flow charts and even the fake joke rainbow charts and all that stuff. And a lot of people were predicting that Bitcoin would be at $75,000 by the end of November. Well, if that's the case, you got some work to do, because, yeah, I don't see that happening right now. Let me just fix this color correction a little bit. I feel a little washed out there. All right, there. All right, go. So, okay. So anyway, yeah, this got some work to do if we're gonna make it to 75,000 by the end of the month. All right. So. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, I don't care. I'm in it for the long run, right? And people are getting a little nervous and irritated about the Ethereum gas prices and stuff like that. And yes, I'm frustrated, but yes, I'm also being patient with all that stuff. I know Junko. If you follow Junko, you got to take everything that Junko says for a grain of salt, whether Junko is a male or female. But yeah, Junko's railing on um, the ETH people hard about that being patient, but about being patient with ETH and just calling the Ethereum heads just the kooks and stuff like that, and a bunch of other words I don't want to say on this show. But then again, you never know if Junko's trolling, so I don't know. But let's see here. The myth of ETH killers. Chris Dixon tweeted, "Why demand for blockchains will always outpace supply." So let's check this out. Because right now, hold on, let's go back to CoinGecko real quick. As you can see here, everything is pretty much in the red for the past 7 days, except for Avalanche, which I've been buying Avalanche in Crypto.com. Crypto.com has also had a lot going for itself. So they are supposedly ETH killers, right? Avalanche specifically, Avalanche and Solana and Cardano are specifically Ethereum killers, is what people like to say. I don't think that there will be an Ethereum killer. I think there's a place for every blockchain. And in a way, I think a lot of these ETH killers will become a sort of de facto layer 2 to help move along and help Ethereum be more efficient, and Ethereum will act as a layer 1 settlement layer. And Avalanche is we have a lot of dApps being built on Avalanche, and a lot of money is being flooded into Avalanche as people can't do jack squat on Ethereum layer 1 right now because it's so dang expensive. I mean, personally, right now, I mean, I have stuff on Ethereum. I have Olympus, the Ohm token. I have stuff locked up in Aave. I have stuff locked up in Alchemix. I have stuff locked up in Bancor, and I can't really touch it because the gas prices are so high. And you know what? I'm not going to sit around and bitch about it. I'm going to take any further type of investments that I do, and I'm going to leave that locked up in there. And just, you know what? It's forcing me to save, at least until the merge comes around and gas prices get a little cheaper and stuff like that. And it's fine. And if gas prices never get cheaper, then I'll be in for the long run. And you know what? I am in for the long haul. And then when I eventually do pull out, there will be more than enough to cover for gas. But in the interim, any new stuff that I'm putting in, I'm putting into Avalanche, and there are now bridges from Avalanche and other blockchains to things like Polygon and Arbitrum and stuff like that. If you'll look at AnySwap, Synapse protocol, and stuff like that. I mean, so yeah, there are ways to get around it. So let's see here. For instance, let's see here. Originally, migration via AnySwap EVM bridge appeared to be a workable option for first-time users to transfer from Binance BNB to Avalanche, right? So there's one option, AnySwap. Another one is Synapse. We have Allbridge, the Seller Bridge, Multi-Chain XYZ, Relay Chain, and Synapse. I mean, these are all ways to get cross-chain from other blockchains without going through Ethereum gas prices, and a lot of these will also go to Ethereum layer 2 solutions. So those are just some options to think about when you're trying to avoid the layer 1 Ethereum high gas fees right now. So what I have on Ethereum layer 1, I'm going to keep there, and then anything else new I'm bringing in, I am getting up onto layer 2 and or doing stuff on Avalanche blockchain. Because yeah, I mean, I like it. It's fun. Avalanche is fun. And I've been having fun playing around on it. Yeah, I was playing around on the smart coin dApp, and I ended up pulling all my money out of smart coin, and basically I got called paper hands by CryptoFu, and justifiably so. They did some updates and they did some migration to other platforms, and I don't know that. I made a bad move, and I admit when I'm wrong, and I probably should not have pulled my money and liquidity out of this platform, but I did, and it's okay. I moved it over to Wonderland, and I bought some time with it, the TIME token, and that's doing very well over there. But I could have made more if I would have just kept it in here. I'll let CryptoFu explain it. But basically, they were doing. It's kind of. I don't really understand the whole mechanics behind a lot of this, but yeah, you're moving from one protocol to another, and I got burned from a similar type of application on the Polygon chain called Arcadium not too long ago, where they basically gave their entire user base 48 hours to move from one protocol to another protocol, and then if you didn't, you were basically locked out. And I went into their Telegram group and tried to talk to them, to ask and ask questions about it, being like, hey guys, what's up with this? And I basically just got cussed out, and stuff like that for asking questions. And so I was a little burned and traumatized by that situation. So whenever Smarter Coin started talking about launching the something on Binance Smart Chain and changing up their protocol, and you better be on board, and you got to follow through these 10 levels of gameplay from like beginning to end, it started sounding a lot like that Arcadium project, and I started having flashbacks and nightmares, so I pulled everything out, and then I realized I made a mistake about that. But you know what? Live and learn, crash and burn, right? It's okay. I moved everything over to Wonderland.money, and I'm making some healthy APY over there instead. But yeah, if you have smart coin and stuff like that, don't worry, you'll be all right. I have issues. So okay. Anyway, let's change gears here. Let's not talk about my bad mistakes. Let me take a sip of my kombucha. All right. So, I was reading an article. Which direction do I want to go with this? Okay. Okay, my wife she has a friend that sits there and sends her articles all the time. My wife is not the most article reading type of person. She just kind of, hangs out and does her deal, and she doesn't really love. So her friend that is constantly like a geek sending her articles just ends up just kind of tossing them into this memory hole. But sometimes my wife will just forward those articles to me because she knows I will read them. And she thought this was it because I'm kind of a futurist. And so she sent me this article about Alcor.org. And I was like, oh, cool, So I started reading up on this. I was like, okay, so it's like life extension using cryonics and stuff like that. I've heard of that, but I wasn't too familiar with it. Extend your life with cryonics. A fulfilling life doesn't have to end when today's medicine gives up. Cryonics takes over. Okay, and I was like, oh, cool. Preserving life. Cryonics is the practice of preserving life by pausing the dying process using sub-freezing temperatures with the intent of restoring good health with medical technology in the future. So it is like basically the ultimate futurist, right? Somebody who believes that they can pause the dying process long enough for technology to advance enough to be able to restore your body in the future when we have that amazing medical technology to do so. If and when transhumanism has fully taken effect and the singularity has happened and humans are irrelevant and AI is now controlling the human body and mind. And the Matrix has taken over and we are all batteries. I don't know. But anyway, I was going through here, pausing the dying process. Hold on. Let me get this whole screen on here so you guys can see it. There. I mean, I come from, my parents are always pretty techie, and I can understand, this optimism and idealism for the future and futurism. I mean, I'm that way too. So I'm not going to knock it. But I don't know if I would want to try this. So the definitions of death change over time as medical understandings and technology improve. True. Someone who would have been declared dead decades ago may still have a chance today. Death used to be when a person's heart stopped, then when their heart couldn't be restarted, and it's now being extended further. A lot of times they're scanning brain activity as well. So modern science, cryonics sounds like science fiction, but it's based on modern science. Life can be stopped and restarted if its basic structures can be preserved. Vitrification can preserve biological structure very well, much better than freezing. Methods for repairing biological structure at the molecular level can now be foreseen. Cryonics within reach. We're making cryonics accessible to everyone. With low monthly dues and an insurance policy, you're all set. When the time comes, we'll perform your cryopreservation at our state-of-the-art facilities. Patients are kept in secure, long-term cryogenic doors until revival. Welcome to your future. Doers. Yeah. That's like Doers whiskey. All right. Put it in a cask. All right. So, anyway, trusted by leaders in technology, biomedicine, and futurism. And look who we have here. Hal Finney, cryptographer, cypherpunk, and Bitcoin pioneer. A lot of them believe Hal Finney to be Mr. Satoshi Nakamoto himself. However, you know, it's just speculation. We don't know. But, you know, if you don't know, Harold Thomas Finney II died in 2014, was a developer for PGP Corporation, pretty good privacy corporation, and was the second developer hired after Phil Zimmerman. In his early career, he was credited as lead developer on several console games. He was also an early Bitcoin contributor and received the first Bitcoin transactions from Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto. All right, so he had ALS, which is terrible, and he lived with that disease for a long time until he died from that disease. And if you don't know what ALS is, I'm not that familiar with it either, but it's basically where your body kind of shuts down before you do, and your body slowly goes into paralysis. You know, I guess it's kind of akin to Parkinson's, where Parkinson's is where your nerve cells slowly start to die, and that's why a lot of the shaking happens and stuff like that. And so, yeah, he ended up dying of ALS, and so he cryonically froze his body. Bitcoin's earliest adopter is cryonically, so this article was written in 2014, is cryonically freezing his body to see the future. He's always been optimistic about the future, said Hal Finney's wife, Fran. Every new advance, he embraced it. Every new technology, he relished. Hal relished life, and he made the most of everything. So, some Bitcoin enthusiasts have used their cryptocurrency to travel around the world. Others have spent it on a trip to space, but the very earliest user of Bitcoin, after its inventor Satoshi Nakamoto himself has now spent his crypto coins on the most ambitious mission yet, to visit the future. So at the time that he set himself up to do this stuff, they used a lot of Bitcoin for it, and it was worth about $12,500. Like the amount of Bitcoin that he used that was worth in 2014 of $12,500 is worth a hell of a lot more now. But anyway, Hal Finney, the renowned cryptographer, coder, and Bitcoin pioneer, died Thursday morning at age 58 after 5 years battling ALS. He will be remembered for a remarkable career that included working as the #2 developer on the groundbreaking encryption software PGP in the early 1990s, creating one of the first remailers that presaged the anonymity software Tor. If you ever use BitTorrent or the Tor browser or anything like that, it's very private. And more than a decade later, becoming one of the first programmers to work on Bitcoin's open source code. In 2009, he received the very first Bitcoin transaction from Satoshi Nakamoto. And a lot of people do speculate that Hal Finney is Satoshi. Now Finney has become an early adopter of a far more science-fictional technology, human cryopreservation, the process of freezing human bodies so they can be revived decades or even centuries later. So when they go to the details about him getting cryonically frozen and all that stuff, I don't know when they would unfreeze him. Okay. So about 25, so people donated about 25 Bitcoin to Finney. So anyway, that remains. There are, right now, let's see here. Then I started poking into how many Bitcoins does the inventor of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, still own. All right, so I'm trying to connect some dots here. Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto still holds a massive stash of Bitcoin that's never been moved, indicating a careful and benevolent designer. In the first 7 months of Bitcoin's existence, Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto mined as many as 1.1 million Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin. This fortune now worth in excess of 30 billion remains untouched to this day. And that was as of January 30th, 2021, and that's still true, I believe. Numerous individuals have been put forward as the enigmatic Satoshi, but his identity has yet to be proven. Now, why are these untouched? Is it because Satoshi is such an amazing genius that he's he or she remaining underground? Or is Satoshi even alive? Is Satoshi a human? Is this alien technology brought to us? And Hal Finney was the one who received the first message of this alien technology and ended up and had the computer capabilities and knowledge to be able to implement that and propagate it throughout the world. The enigmatic creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, was the first person to mine the cryptocurrency at a time when each block mined yielded a 50 Bitcoin reward. Unlike today's Bitcoin miners, Satoshi didn't split these rewards with potentially thousands of other mining pool users, and instead benefited from the entire reward himself. At the time, Bitcoin had practically zero value. Today, the price of Bitcoin is at the mid-end of a five-figure dollar range. Okay, around $50,000. So between January and July 2009, Satoshi is thought to have mined more than 1 million Bitcoin in total, likely making him the most prolific miner in Bitcoin history. Recent research has suggested that Satoshi could have mined even more Bitcoin, but deliberately held back, curbing his hash rate in order to give other miners a fair shot at blocks. Although it isn't 100% certain exactly how many Bitcoin Satoshi mined himself, efforts by leading security and cryptocurrency researcher Sergio Domain Lerner may have generated the best estimate yet. In his report titled The Well-Deserved Fortune of Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin Creator, Visionary, and Genius, Lerner looked at the blocks mined between January 1st, 2009 and January 25th, 2010, blocks 1 to 36,288, in an attempt to identify which were mined by the same entity. By doing so, Lerner found that a single entity using a single mining rig mined thousands of blocks between this time and racked up around 1 million Bitcoin in block rewards while doing so. So, Lerner coined the term Patoshi pattern to describe the pattern of blocks that appear to be mined by the single entity. Since the pattern begins with the Genesis block, it assumed that Patoshi may be Satoshi Nakamoto himself. And Lerner further expanded on this in 2019, The Return of the Deniers and the Revenge of Patoshi. Here, the author finds that Patoshi mined approximately 22,000 blocks single-handedly, netting a total of 1.1 million Bitcoin in block rewards. To put this in perspective, the block reward has been halved 3 times since then. The Bitcoin miners now earn just 6.25 Bitcoin per block mined. At Bitcoin's current value, that would place Satoshi Nakamoto's fortune at over $10 billion, almost certainly making Satoshi the wealthiest Bitcoin owner in terms of pure Bitcoin holdings. And if Bitcoin continues to go the way that it's going, and if Satoshi were to suddenly come out and be like, hey, everybody, then Satoshi would be the wealthiest person in the world in the near future if Bitcoin continues to progress. So what if Satoshi Nakamoto suddenly returned? There's a lot of speculation about that. The pseudonymous inventor of Bitcoin, presumed dead, mysteriously reappears. Here's what experts would happen to say next. All right. So, first, chaos. The immediate result of that confused excitement is anyone's guess. And he would immediately be thrust onto the spotlight and be given a huge, enormous amount of responsibility. People would say it would be like a second coming of Christ. So, the resurrection of Satoshi could ignite a round of spin wars between Bitcoin and altcoin believers. Reckon security analysis. Okay. The altcoiners might try to spin it as Satoshi starts moving coins. A sell-off is imminent. But this person says, but I don't think it will be given much credence by most Bitcoiners. But if Satoshi was going to sell off those coins, you would think he would have been inclined to do so much earlier. Satoshi's majority ownership of the Bitcoin supply would raise political and regulatory questions. Revered as he is, Satoshi would acquire political influence and wield make-or-break power over many of the ideas floated since his disappearance. Suppose Satoshi decrees that Bitcoin is not intended as a store of value, Would people listen? Or maybe it turns out Satoshi's an enthusiastic government bootlicker and explains that his invention's sole purpose was to aid authorities in tracking people's finances. So anyway, I mean, there's just a bunch of speculation here. And then a lot of people have asked what will happen to Bitcoin after all 21 million are mined. And people are saying that the transaction fees alone, because of the value of Bitcoin in the future, will be able to sustain everything after all 21 million are mined, because the transaction fees will cover everything because of the value of being able to put your truth on Bitcoin at that point in the future. So anyway, where is all this going? I started with Hal Finney cryogenically freezing himself. Hal Finney is being speculated as possibly being Satoshi Nakamoto. The final Bitcoin will have been mined in I believe 2140, if I'm correct. Let me see if I can find that in here. I saw it earlier. So in the year 2140, will we have the technology to bring those who were, around 2140, those who are cryogenically frozen back to life in the year 2140? And they said that Hal Finney has always wanted to see the future. What better way to visit the future and account for inflation than anything than to create your own currency, to stockpile it, have over 1.1 million Bitcoin, and be fairly certain that that's going to be the dominant currency in around 100 years in the future, more than 100 years in the future, and then come back to life and then have your seed phrase and unlock it and then rule the world. Yeah. I mean, it only makes sense. Man, you can't make up a better sci-fi story, Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's my whole hypothesis. I just wanted to present that, and for what it is. So I'm sure people have thought about it before. It's probably not an original or novel idea that I'm saying. There'll probably be somebody say, "Hey, yeah, that's common knowledge. Everybody thought about this years ago." But to me, it's new, and this is my video blog. So anyway, give a thumbs up if you thought this was at least entertaining. We'll figure out what to talk about tomorrow. I have an entire backlog of stuff, I want to talk about shelling points. I want to talk about virtual machines, like WebAssembly language versus Ethereum virtual machine. I want to talk about AI some more. I need to get Crypto Foo on again and talk about some of his foos picks and have him completely beat me over the head about Smartcoin. All right. Well, I will talk to you guys. I also want to talk about Starkware and stuff like that too. All right. Let me put on my outro music as I take a sip of my kombucha. I got to get ready for my commute. It's 6:12 in the morning. My commute takes about an hour and 15 minutes. I've concluded. Now I'm taking the toll road all the way around Austin instead of trying to fight traffic through Austin. Basically, to get to my work, I have to go through 4 different freeways. And instead of just going through around one large tollway. So I'd rather pay the extra, whatever it costs. All right. Well, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.